Okay, so usually I don't like talking on camera, but this video is sort of in addition to a Reg Coates video about speedlining and about the versatility of the technique. If you haven't seen that video, turn this video off and go watch that video, and you probably won't even need to come back to this video. I'm just elaborating on a point that he touched on, that it's not just for single stem tall trees to just zip limbs past obstacles and terrain. There's a lot of other options with it. Like he illustrated, his example being a two-man crew and it being a very just efficient way to work that two-man crew. Get the brush off the tree, away from the drop zone. Ground guy can do work while he's setting up the next thing. I was going through some footage and I actually found something that I thought pertained, so I'm gonna ride Reg's Coates tails here. yeah. Sorry. Oh, so we had a oak tree up on a hill, very steep hill. So steep, I actually had to crawl up the hill to get to it in this person's backyard. This thing is leaning up the hill, and this is not a great area for people to work. So we got this broad spreading oak up this hill. We need to get everything down here. Now, speedline wasn't actually the obvious choice, because if we anchored it to the ground or just had somebody hold it, it would just brush right into the ground. Luckily, there was another tree to work with, so I was able to set a redirect for the speed line. I didn't put it in the tree, actually. It was because it was sort of off center, so I put a drift line to tow the speed line kind of where we wanted it, and then we were able to zip pretty large portions, and mainly for the purposes of just so no one has to fight this terrain. Like, we got about 3/4 of the tree done this way. Otherwise, I would have had to lower it, straight somewhere within the drip line, and people would have had to fight with the brush the entire time, and it would have been a struggle for everybody. Let the speed line do the work. I could have lowered stuff and had them pull, but that's such a long pull because they'd have to stand down here somewhere, and that's such a long pull. Whereas if you can get it to ride the speed line, it essentially gravity does the pulling for you. So just take these large chunks and just take them away. And I'm just going to show you some raw footage and comment over it. So this is the first piece. Rest assured, I do have my lanyard on. I got 2 climbing systems. I'm only in one of them right now. It was a pretty odd-shaped tree. I'm one-handing the saw, bad habit, but I'm also bracing myself, even though I'm lanyard in and tied in, just because it's an odd shape. And the first piece, well, it's probably the second piece. The first piece I got filmed. It went pretty good. Drifted all the way. A lot of work saved, and then I moved pretty quickly between this cut and the next cut, because when I'm at work, I'm in boost mode. See, look how fast I'm going. Yeah. And then I slow it up a little bit, just a little bit to make the cut. And there goes the next piece, and just bashing through some of that bay undergrowth down there, which wasn't super important, but we were trying to retain some of it. On to the next bit. I should have gone down there and did the lower branches, but I just ended up here just because it made sense instead of a lot of up and down, and it blasted right through, so it worked out pretty nicely. Yeah, at this point we got kind of a groove going, so here's just another piece, and I was trying to have them come off balanced. I should have done 2 slings or something, but trying to get a lot done in a little bit of time. This one kind of ends up brush heavy, which wasn't ideal, but it ends up making it through. Beats up the bays just a little bit, but it makes it all the way down to the landing. Pretty hard to tell without seeing the entire tree, but it was a weird shape, and it's leaning, and there's not any higher points, and I'm having trouble. This is as far out as I could really comfortably climb, so what I'm going to do is flop this into the rope system, because I don't want to dump this kind of weight into the speed line, so I'm going to flop it into this, and then self-rig it, and then they're going to tension up the speed line a little bit. Ideally, I would have gone smaller or done 2 pieces, but it just didn't work out that way. And what I should have done too is clean it up a little, and it ends up snagging the tail of the line. And so poor Dale has got to go climbing over there and get the line unstuck. But look, I mean, look how fast he is. Dale just moves when he's on the job. Guy's like a lightning bolt Tasmanian devil. So you know, after a little fussing and pulling and gathering up the rope, it gets it free, and we end up just scooting it the rest of the way down the hill. It was a pretty sizable chunk, pretty nice bit to be able to let the speed line do most of the work. I'm not sure why I had a drift line in this. I think it was also like a little bit above the speed line, so I didn't want to just shock load it as much, so I put the drift line just a little bit. It's a shorter line too, so it wouldn't get all stuck. And then the angle of the nub just takes the line with it, so I mean, it kind of worked. This one was a bit similar, but I think after the last one I just sort of decided that it was, oh, it's fine. So this one, I just kind of let it go and let it do its thing. I think I even put a notch here with the hopes that the fibers from the notch would slow it down just a little bit. But it worked out. It hit the ground and bounced. But it worked. I'm also going to slow-mo the clip a little so you can see a little bit of the structure of what's left. You know, it's pretty lean in. It's kind of lanky and weird, and I mean, but still chunky. And yeah, it was an interesting tree. I should have filmed the whole thing. At some point, I think from the middle, I shift over the far lead on the opposite end of the tree, and I didn't film most of it, but I did get this top coming off. It was a pretty good sized top, and I was pretty pleased that it made it all the way there. I'm pretty sure the ground guys were pretty happy about that too. Now you can see me put in an undercut there, at least like 2-3 inches deep, and it's still ripped right down into the wood there. That's, I mean, something you got to watch out for certain times of years with certain types of trees out east, but out in Cali, I've noticed it can be really bad.
Wow, I gave that a good undercut, and it still ripped the shit out of them.
Pretty straightforward clip here. I don't even know why I'm still commenting. I guess I started and now I can't stop and might as well see it all the way through. There it goes, and it makes it all the way to the end. Hallelujah. And this is the last top. This is the last bit I filmed anyways. I think we sent a couple more pieces, but ultimately the wood ended up just getting chunked onto the hill, and they ended up having to cut it up and roll it down. This was for a Hercules tree service, by the way. They ended up having to cut it and pull it and control it, and what a day. Thanks for watching.